Welcome to the very first Nerdporeal Cinematic Chat, where we'll be talking about the Northman. And once again, I'm not alone, so I want to be really quick and I'm going to introduce my guests. First guest, you all know him, but he's making his very first appearance on this stream. Welcome, Corey himself, Salty Texas C. How you doing?
Hey, I'm doing all right. It's I always forget what day it is because we've been doing so many live shows lately, but I remembered it was tonight, and I really look forward to talking about the Northman. So thanks for the invite.
No problem. And next up, he's been on my stream once before, and I had the honor of meeting him in Las Vegas. Let's have a warm welcome for Max von Priestley.
Hell yeah, man. Thank you so much for having me on, as always. And yeah, it's great to see everyone's faces today. It's pretty fun. And you are, Nerdporeal, you said earlier, you are not alone. You are never alone when you have your Viking brothers around you, man. So we're going to be talking about that tonight.
It is true.
I can't wait, man. I love this one. I didn't understand it, but I did love this movie quite a bit because it was so immersive. Like, I want more movies to be like this, to be honest.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But we have two more guests who are making their grand debut on this channel. Mm-hmm. I want to have a warm welcome and and I'm very grateful that she's here, despite the fact that it's really late in her time zone. Welcome, Purple Valkyrie. How are you?
Good evening. Doing well, thank you, and thank you for having me. What a fantastic intro! Absolutely love that.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, yeah. I figure, I want people to want to come back, so that's why I did that awesome, thing. So, but yeah, once again, thank you so much for coming. I know it's like 1 a.m. by you and stuff, so. Mm-hmm. It's great. I mean, your video, Max, Salty, you guys were the reason why I went and saw this movie, or even knew about this movie in the first place. So,
thank you, and thank you for having me. Yeah, love getting to talk the Northman. So when you suggested it, I was like, yes, I've got to be there.
Absolutely. And we have one more guest, and this is his grand debut on my channel as well. Let's have a warm welcome for the man himself, Brahma Bull. How you doing, Brahma Bull?
Cheers, everybody. Doing great. Yeah, thank you for having me on, Admiral. Good to see Salty, MVP, and Purple. So, yeah. Looking forward to talking about this. Hopefully, I won't become the enemy of everybody.
No, the enemy. Yeah, I mean, I don't think we're not enemies here. So, but before we go any further, I just want to congratulate all you guys. You guys all made milestones. Salty, Purple. I think you both made 2,000. Salty, I know you're over 2,000 subs now. Sub sandwiches.
I am over 2,000 sub sandwiches. It's true. So thank you very much.
Purple, I think you're at 2,000, aren't you too?
Just on the cusp. I think I'm like one sub off, perhaps, or something silly like that. But yeah, it's about to tip over. So thank you so much.
So if you're watching this right now and you're not subscribed to Purple Valkyrie, subscribe to her so she can get to 2,000 subs.
And, or even, just create an extra account and just.
Get I'll be right back.
I was about to say.
And Max, you just got monetized, dude. Congratulations, man! You're gonna be 10K before you know it. You're gonna swoop way past me.
Ooh, well, you are too kind, my friend. No, it's a great feeling. I think I was talking to you guys earlier. I'm still learning the ropes and really figuring out what that means to be monetized. Because now that I have the email, it's like, okay, what's next? And so I'm looking at seeing what that looks like. And Nerdporeal, you just got your memberships activated and everything. Yeah. So yeah, man, we're all doing great things on this platform.
Yeah, AdSense is just I'm still learning AdSense and stuff. It takes like a month to get paid and stuff. So it takes it a month for it to just show up in AdSense. So yeah. It's gonna be fun. This is gonna be a fun experience, and of course, YouTube is like the tax collector back in the day. He takes like a third, like 30. Oh, yeah. They say 30%, but I think they take more based on my calculations, like 35%. So, but yeah, but that's YouTube. They, it's like as Bill Murray's described tax collecting. I think it was Bill Murray. Like you have the United States government, licking, or YouTube licking, most of your ice cream off. So explain to a kid. And Brown Bull, aren't you like over 100 subs now?
Yep, 2 months in, just hit 100 a couple weeks ago, and
you guys are all making milestones. You guys are making me jealous.
No, and I'm doing the thing I wanted to do. I mean, I would I'd love to get all the subscribers to get to 1,000 and get monetized myself, but I've caught on with a few of the live streams where I've got a steady gig on here, and really that's what I like to do is talk to people. The video thing is not my forte. I have making videos, but not my forte. I like having discussions, so I'm ecstatic just to be doing it.
Fair enough.
Great. I mean, it's a great. If you want to fill your time, if you're bored and you have like nothing to do, editing will fill your time like really well and stuff. So,
unfortunately,
it took me days to work on my Dirty Harry video. So it's just it's because I use a full video file and I have to go through and find the exact thing that I want to show, and that takes time sometimes. And then there's things I need to find outside that so there's a lot that goes into it. And of course it's all that comes out of this hollow thing called a brain. So, but yeah, so wanted to start with saying hello to the chat. So we have Godzillionaire is here, and he's just dropping by. Well, Godzillionaire, you're awesome. You're the best. You're our Rich Kaiju, and I got a membership. My very first member, Punk Waddle. He is now a member. He is a member at the shameless plug level. So yeah, thank you, Punk Waddle.
Yeah, congrats, Punk Waddle, and that's pretty cool.
Yes.
He's a huge supporter of everyone's channel, man.
Oh yeah,
Punk Waddle's
I'm trying to get him to start. I'm trying to get him to start a channel and stuff. Or heck, he should join, have his own little Punk Waddle puppet and just be like, with Floral and all of them, be another puppet,
That's what we need. We need to have Wilton and Punk Waddle having arguments. I think that actually sounds like a lot of fun, honestly.
That does sound like a lot of fun. Yeah. And we also have the Tad That Shouldn't Be. So, oh man, hey, what's up? If I want to get after you're gonna be taking over Brahma Bull's spot when Brahma Bull checks out and stuff. And of course, games, movies, and comics are us.
Right on.
All right, let's get started. So introductions are now over. Now let's. I want to find out how did you guys first hear of the Northman? Now I know how I first heard of it. It was because of you guys. So I already got myself covered. So Salty, how about you? How did you first hear of the Northman?
Boy, I was collecting articles and looking at things that were coming out from a release standpoint, and found an article and started to read about David Eggers. Of course, I was familiar with him from primarily The Lighthouse, but never saw The Witch. The Lighthouse was trippy as hell. But what I was really interested in was how this was going to be a movie about the original basis of Hamlet. And having studied that in AP English a million years ago, I got really excited. And we covered it, how many times, Max, in Purple? Probably 3 or 4 shows before the movie actually came out. And with each successive round of information we got, we all collectively became incredibly excited. And I guess that's the long story of how I found it.
Okay. That sounds wow. That's pretty cool. Wow, you Max.
I honestly think I had heard it from Chris Gore, because he had initially brought it up to a couple of the guys in the FNT crew, and it was either Chris Gore or Quarter Black or something. They had posted about it and said this thing is going to be incredible. So I think initially it was Chris Gore, and I mean, how can I not look at something that has Viking heritage, and so I was instantly hooked. And like Salty said, the more that Purple and I covered it on Salty's show, it just became more and more apparent that the things that people had said that, these are the things that are wrong with it, or these are the things that we don't want to see, are the things that I want to see. So I just kept getting more and more excited. But yeah, for a film that it is, I guess you could say it's more of an art film. It didn't really have a large marketing budget, and so I don't think a lot of people knew about this. I don't remember seeing ads on YouTube so it was quiet for the most part.
Yeah, it's a good thing. It's a good thing like you guys and the FNT guys covered this, because I would have never heard of this and stuff.
Wow.
And it's because I mean, once again, I trust all you guys when it comes to your tastes of what you guys look for in a movie. And so that's why I decided, I'll go see it myself. And then I liked it enough. Here's the thing: when I saw it, the projector broke. The projector.
Dude.
I saw it the first time on Sunday, last Sunday.
No.
It broke. So, and this was right before the final act, right before he's about to go into the volcano. And the screen went out, but we heard we heard the audio, but we didn't hear the screen. So like everyone's like, is this supposed to be like this?
This is like overly artsy.
Yeah, I was like, wow. I was like, yeah. So they're like, it'll give us a few minutes, and then they come back saying, oh, the projector's broken. We'll give you a refund and stuff, or they give us like a little voucher so we could use it at any AMC theater. So I went to a different theater, saw it the next day.
Okay.
Saw the whole thing. Had the very same effect on me. It's very hypnotic. Like
yes,
between the sound is so soothing, especially in the cave. And it's very dark. It's like Game of Thrones level, like Battle of Winterfell dark. When he's about to fight the Droff, or I forget how you pronounce it, the Draugr or something. I was just like closing my eyes. I had to smack myself awake to keep watching and stuff. So it was just I mean, but I wasn't bored, but it was something about it that was just wanted me. The Lighthouse had that same effect on me too. It's a Robert Eggers. I'm going to blame Robert Eggers for this. So, but yeah. So Purple, about you?
I kind of knew about this quite early on. I remember them kind of teasing the synopsis for the story, and I was a big fan of the director. And I kind of keep an eye out to see what his next project will be, because he's quite selective with what he does. And as you say, he's very kind of art house, and he has a very particular vision when it comes to his film. So I knew that if he was going to take on Vikings, then it was going to be something special. But it wasn't until we got the first trailer that it really hit home, how epic this could actually be. And luckily, at least for me, it really did. It was everything that I wanted it to be. Fantastic cast, amazing music, setting was brilliant.
Oh man, I totally agree with that. And Brahma Bull, about you?
You remember a few months back when the new Vikings spinoff was coming out, and we were all of us streamers were kind of up in arms about the uproar about, the castings in that new TV show and going away from that stuff. There was a lot of mention of the Northman preview during that time period, and so that's when I checked it out, and it looked great. It didn't look like what the movie ended up being. I mean, it looked a lot more action-packed than what I felt the movie was, but that's what piqued my curiosity there. And so it was, kind of all of us and just kind of other streams, talking about other shows that had come out that were about the Vikings as well, and leading towards that. So that's where I found out.
Yeah, and like I said earlier, I found out because of you guys and stuff, and now because I saw the Northman, I want to watch Vikings now. I don't think Vikings. I think is the dialogue in Vikings like this, or is it more 21st century based vernacular?
It's
or is it?
It's a little bit of it's like right in between there, because the Northman was very Shakespearean. I mean, it sounded like a play.
It was like a poetry. It was like epic poetry and stuff.
Reminiscent of those great sagas, very poetic. They're like prose instead of actual dialogue. And then, however, it's not like modern day speak where, what was it, Game of Thrones, where they're saying like they're dropping the F-bomb and, BS and stuff like that. And I'm just like, I don't think they would, there's got to be a better word for that, right?
They use Nordic accents to a degree. I mean, they used hard Ks and Vs and those kinds of things. It wasn't straight common day English, but it was definitely not true to the times either. It's kind of a mix. I mean, it's kind of what you would think archaeologists would be like, yeah, this is what they may have sounded like at that point if they were speaking English and had an accent of their own. That kind of language.
Oh yeah, I mean, I just love. I mean, language. I don't know about you guys, but language for me is like very important for immersion and stuff. Now, I mean, the set pieces, the sets, the props, everything, the costumes, that's all part of it. But the dialogue for me is like what really immerses me, and the way this epic poetry was delivered. I mean, Ethan Hawke, holy crap, I didn't think he could do any of that. Ethan Hawke, I like Ethan Hawke now. I mean, I see him in like when I think of Ethan Hawke, I think Training Day was a great movie. Training Day was a great movie, but I didn't see him as like, an epic, as a king, as like, I did not see that. So and I love Nicole Kidman as the evil mom and stuff. Dude, that scene with her and Skarsgård, holy crap! Like, I was awake. I was completely awake for that. That was like Game of Thrones level, like tension right there. I was like, what is he gonna do? What is he gonna do?
We talked about this on Tuesday, but from my perspective, this movie did a really good job of not moving fast when it didn't need to move fast. It was almost like somebody said, make a movie the opposite of J.J. Abrams, where you actually are emotionally connected and you feel something, and you actually have to sit there and process what you're seeing and take it into your soul, as opposed to lens flare, witty thing, let's play Beastie Boys, movie's over. What the Northman did was really... It made you sit there, and whether it was, and I'm guessing we're talking spoilers. Is that fair?
Oh, absolutely.
What this movie did, and especially from the moment that the king returns, and when you see Nicole Kidman with Ethan Hawke, and he shows the significant wound that he has. There's no way he's going to live. They didn't have surgery in those days, and this was a guy who knew he was dying. So rather than lay with his wife, Nicole Kidman, he rejects her, and they go because while he still has all of his faculties, he wants to spend those lucid moments with his son to transfer from father to son what he needs to know. And Max, I think you talked about it on Tuesday and in your own video. We don't see that anymore. We get nothing but bad dad tropes. And in this case, I was really moved about that, just to have this strong toxic masculinity, as they call it, represented, in having fathers represented as being strong, loyal, and role models.
Yeah, I see. Max, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna echo that because for a lot of people, it probably, the scene in the cave and they're howling at each other, they're becoming these wolves, they're transferring that lineage where he's actually touching his bloodline and insignificance of, this is me passing on my legacy to you. It's a wild scene. It's weird, like, I'm sure normies that are watching it are just kind of going like, this is way too out there, or I can't understand, or I just don't really enjoy it. And that's totally fine.
Now they consume mushrooms. That's why it's all like, trippy and stuff, because they consume mushrooms during the thing. I'm assuming that was a common practice back in
It was, yeah.
Viking
It was something that they used, and they used it, to get into the berserker rage as well. But this particular scene was great because you've also got Willem Dafoe in it, where in the previous scene he's the court jester, he's the Joker, but in this scene he is the one that brings father and son together and helps pass on the message. I thought it was a great kind of dual purpose that he served.
Yeah.
Now this movie was serious, but there was like, during that ceremony, and that ceremony, there was a lot of gravitas in that ceremony. I mean, this is like the son's coming of age. He's going to be the king. He's going to be the future king of was it Jutland? I think that the kingdom is Jutland, an island or something, or that might be that's the real. That's the classic Amleth. But yeah, they're like he's like. Show the Willem Dafoe's like, show us you're human, and of course Ethan Hawke's like, he burps, and then of course the son, he's like, show us you're human, and he farts and stuff. So I just like, I thought that was like, okay, that was a nice little touch of humor, because people did that back then too and stuff. So I can believe that.
It's funny because they did an interview with Eggers, and they had asked him about that, and they were like, when you did The Lighthouse, he also has moments where Willem Dafoe is like farting in bed or something, or these just little moments of levity, and they're like, why do you keep doing that? And he's like, well, it's better than like a quippy Marvel joke, and it's very real. People do that. People belch. People fart. And he was like, and it's not to the detriment of like undercutting a scene. it's just what people did, and
Yeah.
that was his way of bringing a little bit of levity. But yeah, it was definitely a fun scene to watch as these two, father and son, kind of take this journey together into the cave and come out as different people.
Mm-hmm.
So one thing now we all know that that Amleth was precursor to what became William Shakespeare's Hamlet and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I was looking at the legend of Amleth and stuff, and it's very similar to Hamlet. So I'm kind of curious where there's a lot of differences because in the actual in the original, or not the original, but the version that was written by what was his name, Saxo Grammaticus or whatever, however you pronounce his name. Amleth was basically, so unlike Hamlet, who basically did not know that his father just died. The king just died. King Hamlet died. So he didn't know until the ghost appeared to him that his father was actually murdered by his uncle. And throughout the whole movie, he's wondering if this is true. Hence, Hamlet puts together a play with the exact scenario that the ghost describes. And then, of course, he plays it for the king and his wife, his mother, Gertrude. And, of course, he says, that famous line, "Now I'm going to catch the conscience of the king," and stuff. Mm-hmm. And, of course, the king sees this and he reacts and runs out of the room. And that basically confirms to Hamlet that, his uncle was the murderer and stuff. Mm-hmm. Whereas in the Amleth tale, Amleth always knew that the king was murdered by his uncle. But he was afraid for his own life, so he pretended to be a simpleton. Yep. To be kind of like Claudius, if you're familiar with I Claudius, because I Claudius or Claudius in the first Roman family had a stutter, and so nobody took him seriously. He wasn't deemed a threat to anybody's rule and stuff because politics, that type of politics. So that's how Amleth survived. And so throughout this story, he's continually being tested on his sanity, and so he sends a woman to woo him, and he sends him to England, and of course they had their own version of Rosencrantz and Guildenstern, the two guys that accompanied him to England, and they were supposed to send his death warrant. They were supposed to execute him there, but it ends up Rosencrantz and Guildenstern were executed instead because Hamlet found out this and changed the letter and stuff. It was a lot more Machiavellian in the original story than in this movie. So in this movie, he basically, he gets the kingdom is taken. He runs off. He's saying his little prayer while he's rowing, saying, "I'll avenge you, father. I'll kill you, uncle, and I'll save you, mother," and stuff. And it was a very powerful moment. And then, of course, he becomes a Viking. He takes part in a raid in the land of Rus. And then he goes and he finds out about his uncle. His uncle basically lost the kingdom, I think, to Norway. And he goes and lives on a homestead, a farm in Iceland. And so he goes there to take his revenge. I'm kind of curious where this change came from. Like this, did Robert Eggers write this? I'm curious if this was based on another story or another version of Amleth. Do you guys know?
I don't think it is, but what I think they did was took out the romanticizing that that the story might have been passed down and tried to make it a little bit more authentic as to how a Viking might have actually reacted. I'm surprised he didn't raise like his own warriors to go after his uncle. But I mean, it's a solo story instead of, a large group of Vikings, which, I mean, that's one of the things I liked about the movie was this is very much a solo revenge story. Every other thing that we tend to see from Vikings is them raising an army and them going and plundering. So that's what kind of made this different. And I think it's literally de-romanticizing the original story. I don't know if that was him or if that is taken from another piece of work, but that's how I saw it.
Yes, this was also co-written by a poet and an author by the name of Jean, who is Icelandic. So he was the kind of I suppose the background that Eggers drew from. So he tried to get it as close as possible. And he's actually worked very closely with Bjork and the Sugar Cubes in the past as well. So that's where that connection came in.
You know what I honestly I'm hearing what you're saying, and to me that experience actually was key to making this movie the way that it was, because instead of there being this epic sweeping battle, we stayed with Hamlet and we saw so many clearly defined steps of the hero's journey, including the refusal of the call. You know, you've got the initiating event. You have Hamlet literally surrendering everything by branding himself and becoming a slave, and then being tempted at the end and again refusing the call when he finds out that Olga is pregnant with his twins. And the surreal iconography for that was just incredible, with that family tree in that
I think that was
way.
Yggdrasil. I think that was Yggdrasil itself.
And it is just to me how do I say this? There was a certain point where this stopped being a movie and I was watching a play of a very authentic Scandinavian saga. It's like someone had taken the verses and lyrics of something from 1,000 years ago and then faithfully adapted it. And I don't think I've ever seen anything like this before. I've seen a lot of adaptations of Shakespeare, but in this case, you couldn't call this Shakespeare. And Max, it probably moved you a lot more given your heritage, but I was moved like as a guy who's 50, you know, who's a dude who grew up with more masculine archetypes, and that was okay. It was a really stirring and a deep level movie, and there were no bombs and explosions and no Rambo. It was a dude fighting naked by a volcano with his uncle. And that sounds crazy, but yet it just somehow everything outside of the screen went away. I was completely lost in that world. And Eggers should be commended to that, because that was freaking brilliant.
Totally great. I totally agree, man. That's just
he definitely did the Obi-Wan and Anakin fight much better than they did in Star Wars.
It's pretty incredible, because like you were saying, you get so involved and so like enveloped in Amleth's quest that like even the most mundane things that he has to do, like where he goes and plays the football game or the lacrosse game or whatever.
Yeah.
Like not even, you know, it's still like, even at those slow moments that someone might say, well, it's maybe not furthering the plot. He had to keep on the facade. He had to keep on, you know, playing his part as slave to trick Fjolnir. And so like this whole time, whether it was a mundane thing like him carrying bales of hay or taking the rug into the house, I was still like, what's he gonna do next? Because you're trying to you're in the mind of Amleth, and you're trying to figure out what is his next move, how is he going to strike next, and you're just so passionate about like, you want this guy to succeed, and you see how horrible everyone else is around him, that you're just like, okay, here's our only protagonist, him and Olga, really. And we're just waiting for them to come to this conclusion, which we get at the gates of hell.
Oh yeah, and going back to that football, so was that like basically them taking on another homestead or something? Them playing against another homestead? I'm assuming.
I thought it was just like, you know, micro Jarl versus micro Jarl for, you know, for shit talking points, you know, and it's like a friendly wager, you know, at like a high school football team, only you could die, you know, in this one.
You guys, I didn't. It took me a while to realize it, but that was the Mountain, the big guy on the other team, the captain. That was the Mountain himself. That was Hatfor Bjornsson. I was like, dude, and what's funny was he wasn't the only Mountain. The other Mountain from season 2, Ian White plays the Draugr and stuff. So we got two Mountains in a single film, 2 Mountains in a volcano. So,
well, and Skarsgård did not look tiny compared to the Mountain. That could be some camera work, but Skarsgård definitely
he's a tall dude.
Definitely did some work to get that bulked up.
Yeah. Like you see pictures of him, he towers over everybody else. So. Yeah.
Both him and Klaus Bang, both 6'4", 6'5". Yeah.
Right on. Yeah.
Yeah. I think you got that that Viking gene. You're really tall and stuff.
Oh yeah.
That's why they beat. That's why they always conquered the Slavics. I'm descendant of one of them, so I'm not that. I'm average height. So.
And there's. Oh, I was just gonna say Nerdporeal. I mean, yeah, because what was crazy too is like, of course, Alexander and his whole family are pretty tall. I don't think anyone
They're
is
Swedish,
under
I
six
believe.
foot two. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so then you have the Mountain or Halfthor Bjornsson, who is 6'8", and you have all these like monstrous people. But then imagine having the tallest person back in the day of maybe England or Ireland, your tallest person in the town being 5'8", and then having Vikings coming onto your shores that are maybe 6'2", 6'4".
Mm-hmm.
You would consider them as giants if your
Literal
tallest
giants.
person
They
is
did,
like 5'8".
They literally had tales of these gigantic men coming from
Yeah.
across the ocean in boats,
Crazy.
and even the very mention of them struck fear into people.
Yeah.
Someone at work told me this like last year, that like when the Vikings came and invaded like England and stuff, they took all the pretty women and left all the not so
They
pretty
did.
women. It's not so. I hope that's not true, but that's what I heard. That's what I heard.
It's probably absolutely true, but it would get the Vikings canceled back in 1300 BC. So.
Wow. Well, I'll be honest. I saw something that the Vikings did in this movie when they raided I don't know what the name of the town was, but in the land of Rust and stuff. When they took all the kids. When they basically he's just talking to the guy's talking to him, casual talk, while in the background they're rounding up children, putting them in this barn, and then they burn it and stuff. It reminded me of a movie that I saw a couple years ago. I own the Blu-ray of it. It's called Come and See. It's a Belarusian World War II movie. And they did this to the women and children. The Nazis basically rounded the entire town, the entire village into the church. And then they told the men, hey, if you want to live, climb on out. So the men climbed out. And when the women tried to put the kids out, the Nazis threw the kids back into the church, and then they burned the church. And
That's cheerful.
This was all from the point of view of a 14-year-old boy. So a 14-year-old boy was one of those that climbed out and stuff. So seeing that made me think of that. So I guess, descendants, millennia later,
Well, it was interesting
pulling the
because
same crap.
He did far worse in his time as a berserker than was ever done to him. I mean, he lost his soul to continue his revenge plot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I see that differently. And I'm obviously Brahma, you can hold whatever take you want. For me, I saw it as after his father died, when he was chanting that I will avenge you, father, I will kill your, what is it, Fronier?
Uncle Fjolnir.
Yeah, and then save you, mother. That was almost like an incantation to, let's say, is it hell in the Norse pantheon, or is there another the equivalent of the devil in Judeo-Christianity? That was almost to me like he was giving himself, pledging himself, and that's why he was inextricably left and linked to having to fulfill his quest. So that at that moment, even as a small boy, he essentially sold his soul for this opportunity. Now, he didn't read the fine print as to what it would take to complete his fate. But to me, that's kind of what I saw, was that because we saw that he had to complete this task, but did he really? When he was on that boat with Olga and the twins, did he really not have a choice? And to me, that's kind of where I saw this as something where there was this next level layer of spirituality, which is why he kept being reminded, even after they beat him up on the barn and he was hanging, that the crows came. Now, people can think that's a metaphor, but at the same point, why would Odin care unless this guy promised something or there were other supernatural forces at work? I don't know. Maybe I'm smoking crack, but that's how I saw the movie.
I don't think we're disagreeing. I'm saying he lost his soul for his revenge plot, and I think you said he sold his soul for his revenge plot. So I think we are agreeing there. I was just giving that as an example of the links he would go to, to get that revenge. I mean, he trains as a berserker and is willing to just sacrifice kids left and right there.
Well, didn't I think he realized that too, like throughout the movie, because he did not want to, at least from what I gather, he didn't want to continue that line of violence once he found out. Olga was pregnant with twins.
That's why he had to die along with his uncle, because the two kids would not be tainted by his life and the things that went on in his life and his uncle. Right? They're getting a fresh new life wherever they were sailing off to.
Yeah, and he had to be reset as well, because when he was a berserker, he forgot what his motivation was. He got so caught up in being in this new life. It wasn't until he met the seer that he was reminded, what he actually pledged.
And that's where I go with the spiritual part. That's where I'm going with the spiritual part, where he kept having to be reminded because he'd asked for an intervention at the spiritual level to accomplish that. That's where I was going with that, Brahma. Now, losing your soul, and then, to me, essentially having your soul caught up in the supernatural, which is then part of guiding you and then forcing you to move forward. That's the angle I'm taking,
You're talking fate. Yeah. Right?
Not really. I'm talking about, it's a different thing.
Okay.
Because Oh, go ahead.
I was going to ask, what was this that priestess with the, I forget, was it like the seer or something? Was she like a spirit, or like part of the pantheon of Nordic goddess or gods or goddesses? Kind of like the fate. What exactly was she?
She's kind of open to interpretation. She could either be seen as just a priestess, as a kind of a conduit for the gods, or she could have been one of the Norns, one of the fates, the ones that weave people's fates, kind of incarnate on Earth. So again, with a lot of the kind of people that he runs into with the more spiritual side, it's sort of open to interpretation. Are they real? Are they who they appear to be?
Yeah, because go ahead, Max. Sorry about that.
I was just gonna say, I think that's why a lot of these are so great, is because it's almost like, I guess if I could relate this to a Christian aspect, it's almost like parables, because parables that, some of the parables that Jesus taught were not exactly how he spoke of them. There weren't probably 10,000 men in an army. It might have been 300. But in that parable, for that time, it needed to be 10,000. So for Amleth, it may have not been the seastress or seeress, I forget how they called her. It might have been a spirit or something else that might have been in that parable, if you will, in that story, that kind of brought Amleth to realize, this is my calling. I'm not meant to be here as a berserker. I am meant to fulfill what I had promised myself all those years ago. I think that's kind of cool that it is kind of left up to interpretation. Was she real? Was she not? Was she a spirit? Was she an actual person in the Russ camp? In that village.
It made me think of Obi-Wan appearing to Luke in Empire Strikes Back, just like saying, hey, you got to do this. And that's pretty much where the movie starts. And why does it start? Because he gets the lightsaber, he uses the Force, and is able to grab the lightsaber. I think that was the test and stuff. So but that's kind of what I thought when she reminded him of his of his duty or something. His duty to the gods.
His last tear, right? I think that's what it was. His last tear.
It was.
That was amazing.
So I thought, so then, I thought, didn't Willem Dafoe give him a tear? I don't quite understand
his last
the
tear. During the ritual where he's becoming a man, he takes his last tear from him, freezes it, and says, "You'll get this back at, the right time, when you're destined to," and that's when the seeress gives the tear back, if I remember correctly.
Yep.
And the tear is supposed to symbolize emotion, or
I thought it was his pain. I thought it was his pain and motivation to complete what it is that he needed to do. And that again for me was the supernatural involvement. Could he have still been tripping balls on mushrooms? I mean, a lot of this movie now, we as the audience were like, are we in his head while he's tripping, or is this really happening? And I defaulted to it's really happening.
And I interpreted this one a little bit different than you. I interpreted it as his innocence, because he's a child. His dad hasn't been murdered at the time they take his last tear. And then he's given the tear back when he's reminded of the reason why he has this mission. So they're giving him his emotions back, saying, now's the time to go get it done. So
that was,
that's how I figured it.
Yeah, I kind of saw both, and I liked the fact that it could have been either one, but I was almost wondering if the tear was more of a tear shed of pain of like sadness, not so much of like anger or vengeance, but more of a pain of sadness. And when they take that, it's kind of like the military. When you go into the military, you're to be in a killing field, you can't be emotional. And so to take that emotion out of things, you become this berserker killer that has no remorse. But then once you get back what your purpose is, you then start to, that's probably why he honestly fell for Olga, because, if he was still in this berserker stage, he would have saw Olga as just some slave, get out of my face, and but actually started to feel for her and care for her. So I don't know, it could go both ways, and I think both are actually really interesting, which is a great storytelling technique of being able to allow the audience to interpret whatever they feel, as opposed to shoving some sort of thing down your throat and saying this is how I message the message. Exactly.
So once he got the tear, then the motivation kind of came back to complete his revenge, and then he I think the next day he hears about Fjolnir, how he moved, he relocated to a farming settlement in Iceland, and that's when he basically cuts his hair, look like a slave, dressed like a slave, and then he just kind of climbs on board a boat, and that's where he meets Olga, and then they that's where the Viking part of him ends and the slave part begins. So now we're at the slaver part. What did you guys think of? I thought Iceland's so beautiful. Like I wanted to go to New Zealand just for Lord of the Rings stuff, but Iceland looks beautiful too. Like that's another great place to shoot a fantasy series and stuff, or something adapted. I just loved the look. It was so beautiful.
Did they film in Ireland, Purple? Do you know if they...
They did film quite a bit of it in Ireland, but it is also filmed in Iceland as well. And you're right about location. It is.
Do you know what parts were filmed in Ireland?
I believe a lot of the farm scenes were filmed in Ireland, whereas the more wide angle shots, the sweeping shots that they did of the landscapes, those were entirely Iceland. So any of the kind of close scenes on the farm or the settlement that gets raided, I believe that was filmed in Ireland.
Okay, there's a really good reason why Game of Thrones was filmed in Ireland, because it's beautiful up there. I want to go there too now.
Yeah. If you watch the original Viking series from History Channel, not the Netflix series, all of that is Ireland. It's all in Wicklow, which is a little, I think it's Wicklow, a little coastal city where they have Kattegat there and everything. So yeah, man, Ireland is like the place to be if you are trying to film a historical epic or fantasy, for sure.
So, I'm just curious. The He Witch was that a real person, or was that another like god or messenger of the gods or something? Because I like the whole mystical part where I think he's following the ravens, Odin's guidance or something, and that's how he meets the He Witch, and then the He Witch has the head, the decayed head of Willem Dafoe, and so, at least I think it's Willem Dafoe.
It is. You got to wonder how he got a hold of it, and two, what does he do with it when nobody's looking?
I just felt. I was like, is this? I was asking myself, like, because I really wanted to give this movie. I didn't want to think anything negative, but I'm like, is this just convenience, or was this is this simply convenience, or was it or was it mystical?
I would chalk it up to divine intervention again.
Yeah, I mean, because he started, I mean, again, that's the intervention of Odin with the crows. He then goes to the hills, and then God knows if it's because he was hanging there on that rope, having been beaten for how many hours by how many guys. I mean, the dude was nothing but one big welt, right? And blood flowing out of him. And then he goes to fight the Dragar. And I mean, again, was he hallucinating? He clearly had an actual sword, or it was just that part of, okay, here's another divine intervention step that we as an audience were just along with. And that's how I interpret it, was like, now Amleth has to cross into the other plane in order, and then be tested yet again to see if he's worthy to get the next piece of the puzzle to move on to the final boss, for the lack of a better word.
This did feel like I was playing a video. I did get some video game vibes, mainly God of War, the new one, and some Skyrim and stuff. So this was once again, like I said, it was very immersive. But what was the significance of the sword? So the He Witch basically points him to the sword that he has to use to slay Fjolnir and stuff. And I'm like, is this supposed to be like a magic sword? Like, why does he need because Fjolnir is just a person. You know, he could kill him whenever. I mean, why does it have to be this particular sword? And I think the Draugr was someone that Fjolnir slayed or something many years ago. So I'm just wondering if you guys know like what the significance of that sword was that he fought the Draugr for.
I think it was just supposed to be a test. I mean, remember how he finds that seer is he follows the fox, and then the fox is not in the cave, the seer is. So I think that's all supposed to be supernatural. They're guiding him on his next step, and the next step in the quest is you have to get this sword that can't be swung unless it's in moonlight or at the foot of the volcano. Right. So he can only do his stuff at night. They're kind of giving him the map for how he needs to get his revenge. And where it's going to end, because he does not take chances earlier that he might be able to use the sword, because it's not effective unless it's at night.
Yeah.
And it has to come down to that volcano ending, because it has to be there.
And hence that's why he doesn't, kill Fjolnir right away. Instead, he basically starts, sowing dissent. He kills those guys. I forget. He kills those guys and nails them to the house. Or I think he dismembers them. I don't remember exactly what he did, but he basically cut them up and nailed them to the thing. And then the first thing they thought was, it's the Christians did it. So they lined up all the Christians because Christ died on the cross, nailed to the cross, nailed to a tree. So he started. I think it was them that he started, like, they lined him up and he was like slitting the throats of like every other one of them and stuff. Once again, made me think of World War II, the especially movies like The Pianist and the Schindler's List, where they would line up a bunch of people, and they would just shoot one, shoot another, shoot another one and stuff. So it was just another one of those. I don't know. I've it's messed up. It's really messed up and stuff.
Yeah, if you guys do see me smiling when Nerdporeal is talking about nailing bodies to the house, it's not because I'm an insane psychopath or anything.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Yes. Yeah, maybe it is. I don't know. You guys can tell me. I think it's just such a departure from the just watered down crap that we normally get. No one takes any risks anymore. No one shows the brutality of honest and real historical events. Everyone tries to wash everything away. And Eggers said, screw that. I mean, if I really want to show how awful and brutal and just like, what's the right word? Like, just savage these people were, I'm going to show these people... Visceral, yeah, thank you. I'm going to show this thing. So if I do smile, it's because I appreciate the filmmaking and not so much the act itself. But it is crazy. And I like what you said, Brahmabul, about there seems to be much more symbolism behind his quest. It's not just, I'm getting a sword because it looks cool. The symbolism of him having to fight the Draugr, or the symbolism of him not being able to pull the sword in daylight because he has to wait for his opportune moment at the gates of hell, if you will, by the volcano. These are symbolic moments that I think the sagas speak of, and they played it, in my opinion, very well in the film, to where it's not so outlandish to where it seems like, well, that just doesn't make sense. It kind of works its way in as symbolism, and you accept it for that fact. But that's just how I interpret it as well.
Is that why? Okay, so him not drawing the sword. Is that why? So when they were starting to slay people, and right before they were gonna cut Olga's throat, he comes in and he just starts beating him with the hilt of his sword, and stuff, and then he gets captured and stuff. So okay, so that makes sense.
Well, and there's another scene where one of the guards tries to draw the sword and is unable to. So it's not just him. It literally is like a spell or an enchantment on the sword.
Okay.
Because we see the guard unable to wield it during the day too.
And I believe it's the guard without the nose. I'm pretty sure it's him, which is just insult to injury. It's.
Oh man, the nose. Oh yeah, that was one thing I did notice too. Now I don't know if any of you guys read the Game of Thrones books, but Tyrion.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, as pretty as Peter Dinklage was, his character at the end of book 2 during the Battle of the Blackwater, he doesn't just get sliced across the face. His nose got sliced off too. Yep. So when I saw Noseless, I forget the Noseless guy's name, but when I saw him, I was thinking that's how Tyrion should have looked in the show. But
exactly.
I guess well, Dan and Dave, what can I say? But dude, I like for a second it happened so quick. I'm like, I thought he was hit by like an arrow, and that's why I hit the nose. Like, lost the nose. No, young Amleth just stabbed him in the side of the nose, right? And that's why he lost the nose, right?
I think he does an upward strike, because he's on top of him, and he does an upward strike, and it just pops his nose clean off his face.
The camera was weird. It just like rotated, so it was like they were on the ground, but it looked like they were up against a wall and stuff. It was interesting choice of cinematography. So yeah, but yeah, Noseless guy. I was like, oh, he's alive and stuff. But the reason why he got away, because he was too embarrassed to admit that it was that Amleth just stabbed him in the nose and got away. That's why they thought he was dead. So, oh man.
I can see why a lot of people started to say that this became a horror film at the in the third act, because you're watching the final moments of Amleth and the final moments of Fjolnir and Fjolnir's settlage, his town, because you're like each night gets progressively more horrific and more visceral. And he's just playing with his food. Yeah. Oh yeah. He's just I don't know if it's taunting, but he's playing with his food at that point and terrorizing their soul. I mean, and it just shows. It was a beautiful depiction of how seriously Vikings in that era took these superstitions, because they were like, well, we have to sacrifice someone. We have to go to the temple and sacrifice something to Odin, because he will bring peace upon our village. That doesn't work, okay, well then what else can we do? And they're just trying to go through all these different superstitions, and it is just really well done. And like I said, I think it makes sense why people found this to be a horror film at the end.
It was definitely visceral, but it doesn't pull away from the violence, which I thought was interesting. It makes you face what was going on. There's no cuts away from it, which I thought was fantastic. And I love the scene where Olga gets involved and she's slipping the mushrooms into the stew, and it's driving them all crazy.
The one guy's like stabbing himself.
Yeah.
Crazy.
That was the thing about this movie, is that again, there was so much pagan iconography. It was so faithful to, and we're talking about stuff that happened well before the Middle Ages. I mean, this was hand to mouth. Your life expectancy was what? Maybe your late 20s if you were lucky. And all of these things were woven in, all of the sacrifices, like when the son died and they beheaded the horse because the horse was going to Valhalla with them. I really liked that they did those scenes,
and the girlfriend.
And the girlfriend, and in some cases servants. But it wasn't gratuitous. But what it showed you is how seriously they took their beliefs, and it wasn't cheap and it wasn't funny. And it's like you say, Max, where it did a really good job of to me, it felt more respectful to a religion and a faith than I've seen in a movie in a long, long time. Without it, just that's what blew my mind in all this. Is I really liked the intellectual honesty and the regard for the Scandinavian culture that Eggers showed in this movie. I really did.
It'd be like watching an Egyptian movie where they actually bury, everybody with the pharaoh that is supposed to be his guard, and they bury them alive.
Yeah.
Or sacrifice them and put them in the tomb with him.
Lots of Chinese emperor.
Did it. Yep.
Yes, a Chinese emperor too. Absolutely.
I want to watch the Mummy again.
Yeah. Or showing like the mummification process, because like wouldn't they have to go through to keep the face intact? They go through and take out some of the brain and like everything.
Oh yeah,
like just that whole thing is unbelievable. But
I think they consider the brain non-essential, is why they took that out.
Well, a lot of people in today's society think the brain is non-essential as well. So I mean, it hasn't changed too much.
A working brain.
Oh yeah,
a working brain.
True story.
Oh man,
so that Mummy movie is pretty great with Brendan Fraser.
Oh yeah,
I was gonna say you didn't mean the one with Tom Cruise then.
Yeah,
yeah.
Well, who made that one?
Oh yeah,
Kurtzman.
Oh yeah.
Oh, did it really?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The same
it all
guy
makes
that
sense now.
The same guy that is currently ruining
Star Trek
franchise of love.
And he said that was the one thing that he regrets doing with his career, because he's made Star Trek more accessible for everyone now. So,
well, the new Star Trek tells you it's like Greater Minds have said. It tells you what to think. It doesn't tell you. It doesn't give you food for thought, which is what Star Trek was. The reason why people on both sides of the political aisle were drawn to.
Yeah.
It wasn't just a left thing. People on the right liked it too. I went to church. People and everyone I went to church with was obviously right wing, and a lot of them love Star Trek. That was the reason why I got into Star Trek, was because they watched it. One of them was my piano teacher. So yeah.
Are you saying Star Trek's a right wing hate group? Is that what you're? Just like David Eggers, the Northman, is also an alt-right dog whistle for something. I mean, the amount of hate that has been thrown at this movie. And to me, it's so obvious, because this movie dared to stray from the ESG casting narrative, mandate.
Yeah.
Every other damn movie out there has to have all of the forced casting and representation. And David Eggers is like, two middle fingers, is like, no, we're going to do old school Scandinavian. And I really think that's why they came after this movie.
If you want to have a good movie, you have to be able to put aside your disbelief. You're watching a thing of fiction, but the more you can put aside your disbelief, the more. To me, it's the more successful the movie is and stuff. If you can get people to watch it like that, they're going to want to watch it again and again, and pay more money and pay more money and pay more money. This is going to do good down the line. I mean, I think it's going to. What it did, half of its budget. It made half of its budget, and then of course you have to account for the theaters taking their cut and stuff, 60%. So I think down the line, like, dude, I'm like, guys, I'm definitely buying this on Blu-ray and stuff, and I kind of want to go see it again. I want to see this movie again. This movie was.
Absolutely. I wish I could see it with you, Nerdporeal. I wish I could see it with like UMax and Purple and Brahma, and we could go and sneak in Suburban and watch this movie and just sit there and fall into it, man. That would be so cool. It would just be so cool to share this with somebody else who loves it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is definitely a film that needs to be experienced on the big screen. And I'm kind of sad that they didn't release it in more cinemas. If they had really marketed this film and kind of pushed it, and really most people have heard about it through word of mouth, as you say, through other people.
Yeah.
Well, that's why we've been.
It was like a $70 million. It was like a $70 million to $70 to $90 million budget based on what I've seen. Mm-hmm. So you would think that they would put it in more theaters,
Well, it was in 3,000. I think the problem was it was mismarketed, and then of course I think the other part is, to me, the Hollywood Reporter I thought did a fair review. Have any of you guys seen a really negative review from, I would call, well, a legitimate, with big air quotes, shill media site? I mean, has anybody said anything really terrible about it? I haven't looked at Rotten Tomatoes. What's the score on Rotten Tomatoes?
I think I'm the only one who's given it a semi-negative review out of any of us that have talked about it that I've seen. I haven't seen anything out of the mainstream on it.
Was there well, there was the UK Times or something like
Guardian.
that.
Guardian, yes, and the Daily Fail, yes.
There was one that. Go ahead, Purple.
I was just checking on Rotten Tomatoes. Not that I really go by them, but it's 89% for the critics and 66 audience.
Ooh. Wow, that makes no sense to me. Mm-hmm. That makes no sense to me.
That's kind of where I was, though. I mean, I haven't said anything too negative about it yet, but I thought it was too slow of a burn, personally. I didn't need it to be an action movie like you were talking about earlier, Salty, but I felt the second he became a slave and they got to Iceland, it was a very slow burn. That last hour, I mean, about 45 minutes of that last hour took a long time to get anything really going. And I understand it was building up the tension and doing all that kind of stuff. But to me, it is not a movie that I'll probably rewatch more than once a decade. It just didn't do it for me. And that's nothing against the movie. I'm glad everybody's liking something that is non-woke and tells a good story. It just wasn't my kind of movie.
And that's okay.
And I've said it before. And Nerdporeal, you were talking about it earlier, the immersion. You know, you were talking about authentic language and that kind of stuff. And Salty, you've already heard me say this, but Nicole Kidman took me straight out of the movie. Every scene she was in.
Oh, interesting.
Her plastic face screwed up the whole movie for me. Every scene she was in. The fact that she couldn't express emotion and it was just spouting dialogue out of a frozen, not even a Barbie face, because Barbie has a good face, but
she kind of reminded me of Cersei.
That honestly killed it for me. I mean,
she did struggle with the accents as well. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I was going to ask, would you say her character? I don't even remember her character's name. Mom. I'll just call her Mom. Would you consider Nicole Kidman's character a girl boss?
Oh,
woman
boy.
boss?
No,
I think she was just conniving.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Did you guys get I got some Cersei vibes from her. I don't know if you guys felt that way too.
Yeah,
to a degree.
And she wasn't staring out of a balcony the whole time. It's nice.
With a glass of wine in her hand, no.
If you get my Game of Thrones season 8,
Yeah. What I don't understand about her is that she was so thrilled. I mean, maybe she really was in love with the uncle, but you're now the queen of a freaking farm, and you're working that hard to hold on to that. I mean, I don't understand some of her motivation, I guess. I understand when she would want her husband murdered if she really didn't like him to be the queen of where they were. What I don't understand is the absolute devotion and telling your son how much you hate him, down the line when you're the queen of a farm.
Did you think think that what she told him was true, or did you think she kind of made it up? Like her saying that, he was the product of rape, and that she was the slave thing was confirmed. She showed her brand and stuff. So, but do you think do you think everything she said was true, or do you think she's just straight out of her mind?
I got the feeling that it was true. Just the way that she spoke and the way that she was rebuffed in the beginning, where she was kind of trying to tempt the king to, come to bed with her, and he was like, I'm going to go spend my last moments with my son, and that was the sort of relationship I kind of got. It was a very pantomime relationship that they had when she first greets him.
It was interesting because there's that first scene where Amleth runs in as a child when his father's returning and runs into his mother's bedroom, and she is very angry that her son ran in on her, and I don't think they would have these very formal, like, you can't come in mom's bedroom thing during Viking culture, and the fact that she's like, you can't come in here, that's kind of was like, well, what's going on in this bedroom? that Amleth isn't supposed to see, you know? I mean, and that's what I was wondering, you know, had his uncle just left?
Oh yeah, that's right.
Speak, you know?
That, or was she wanting him not to see the slave brand?
See, and that's, you could flip a coin.
Because she was getting dressed.
Oh, that makes sense. Now that makes sense now.
You can flip a coin, but maybe it's both, you know? And I don't know which one it was, but yeah, I don't know.
I like how you said flip a coin. Now I'm thinking toss a coin to your Witcher. Wrong
yeah, buddy.
Wrong.
Yeah. And my thing on that is that I think it's kind of 50-50. I think she's telling the truth. She was a slave and probably got raped and impregnated. But I would also think that a slave would be pretty happy to be made a queen instead of living the life of a slave. And then I think the other part of it is, she probably resented it and was still power hungry after she got a taste of power and wanted, to get away from him, but still be just as powerful as she was. I think she was just an evil woman.
What does a woman think? And I'm no biologist, but I'm pretty sure that one right there is a woman. Tell us what women. Yeah, there it is.
I would agree with you guys. I think she was definitely very power hungry. She was kind of like a lot of very Shakespearean female characters. She is the power behind the throne. I think that she wasn't happy with what she had with Amleth's father, so she saw potential in the brother, and then when the brother actually dispatched the father, and then because of his own ineptitude lost and got exiled, I think then she became very bitter that she had all of this power, she had everything she wanted and lost it due to a man. So she did everything she could then to make things difficult.
These sound like this sounds like chicks that I've dated, and there's no hyperbole there.
Hopefully,
all of this is entirely plausible to me, man. I'm just gonna say that.
Hopefully, they didn't try to push incest, though.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
you
had
to go there.
It was same in Hamlet. They did I think it was getting really weird. If you ever seen like Hamlet, the Mel Gibson one, I think Glenn Close plays the mother.
Yes.
It gets weird. It just gets weird during that confrontation. The only difference was in Hamlet and of course the original Amleth, there's somebody hiding in the room. Like in Hamlet, it's Polonius, the counsel for Claudius, King Claudius, the uncle, is hiding hiding behind a curtain. And I think in Amleth, from what I just learned, there was someone hiding in like under hay or something, and he basically stabs. So he knows someone's there because he felt something, and Amleth stabs through it and kills the guy and stuff. And it's the same thing with Hamlet. But this case, I was like, is someone else in there? And I was like, oh no.
Well, to be fair, in the Northman, we had the younger brother as well.
Exactly.
Hiding. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I really actually appreciated the female roles in this film because they were shown a different strength. Now, granted, Nicole Kidman's character was much more of a
puppet master.
Antagonist strength, she was kind of pulling the strings behind this whole operation. But I agree that she definitely had evil intentions while going through this whole period of time. But you saw her, and I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, Purple, but women have this strength over men with their words and with their actions and their physical nature. Because when Fjolnir is yelling to the skies and he's going, Odin, why would you do this? Nicole Kidman is the one who comes up and she goes, you need to control yourself. You are the king. You need to show these people. And he's able to calm himself. Same thing with Olga. When, Amleth is going, I have to stay here. I have to do this. Olga's love and her words and her compassion towards him is the thing that brings him back to reality and goes, all right, let's go. Let's leave this place. I don't need to be here. And we see, of course, he reverses that decision because of, you could argue, fate or because of his own choice. But
he says his family will never be safe. I mean, that's the thing that he directly said. His children will never be safe with Fjolnir. Now, whether or not that's true, well, I mean, look at him. They thought they were safe. Fjolnir's family thought they were safe, but then here comes Amleth, and everything's gone. Everything's burnt. Everything is ashes. Everything, as Cersei would say, ashes. Or no, Tyrion would say, it's ashes in your mouth and stuff.
Yes, and Again,
go ahead,
going sorry, Brahma. Again, with the father scene and the strong male role model, the grief that Fjolnir shows when his sons are killed, I thought was very well done as well.
Oh
Whereas
God,
you know, you think that he's the villain, he's not going to show any emotion, but
No.
you could see when he lost his sons, when he loses his wife, just how devastated he is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's still a human being, you know.
Mm-hmm.
He's still, you know, even though he's, you know, he did an evil thing in the past, you know. A lot of people have done bad stuff in their life. I mean, some worse than others, but still, we still are. I mean, we're all human beings, and we all still, you know, suffer a lot of the same. You know, we all have most of us have the same emotions and stuff. And same thing for him. He has things he cares about, his family.
And that's where I started to look at Amleth's mother and not just despise her, but realize that the uncle, I thought, had been manipulated too. That he probably went into this with the best of intentions. He undoubtedly had rivalry with his brother. Okay, I'm not excusing what he did, but the mastermind behind all of this was Amleth's mother. That's how I interpret it. You know, maybe I could be wrong, but what's crazy about this movie is we are getting the original archetypes of strong female characters. You know, in Olga we get the crone. And then in Amleth's mother, I forget which one it is, but essentially it's the bad queen. You know, and I forget which one it is in the Campbellian structure of things. But these are archetypes that Hollywood doesn't use at all. And when we see them, for me, it was like the story. I just felt viscerally for Olga. I felt this combination of lust and respect. And then for Amleth's mother, I felt this like, holy cow, this is evil personified. In that moment where she starts kissing on her own son, you know, and it's like, there is nothing this woman will not do to get more power. Like Max and Purple both said, it was like she bet on the wrong horse with Amleth's, you know, uncle. They ended up like in some low rent trailer park equivalent instead of being on Park Avenue. By God, she's going to take her son, and because she wants to get back to that big mansion on the hill. And that's how this struck me. And it was like, that woman is freaking evil. You know, and everyone around here is just a pawn in her game, including Amleth, you know?
And since we broke the Olga cherry, the other thing I would add on about her that Max was bringing up is, there's a scene earlier in the movie, I think when they're still slaves, where Olga basically breaks it out and says, I've had to survive off of my wit. I'm going to be the brains. You're going to be the brawn. You need to listen to me when we're making these plans. And so... yeah, I mean, it's a different type of female character, especially from the mother. They both are plotting, but one is plotting, you know, just to be free. The other one is plotting for power.
And what is it, Purple? I think I've heard you say it 4 or 5 times on your live stream, my live stream, and other people's live stream. What is it that Olga says? It never gets old hearing you say it.
Oh, yes, she says to him, you have the strength to break men's bones, but I have the strength to break their minds.
Yeah, that's what I think that's what I was saying.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, good. It's just that quote, and the way she says it in this deadpan manner, Olga, that Anya, I forget what her name is. I was really impressed with her as an actress. I thought she was going to overplay it, but damn.
I think she was in The Witch, wasn't she? She was in Robert Eggers' other movie.
Okay. Yes, she was. Yeah.
There has not been. I was going to say, there has not been a film I have seen her in where she's been bad. Like, she was also in Split. I think that was the first film I saw her in. And she is hauntingly good in that movie, because she actually has to do something similar with I'm blanking on the actor's name, but the one who plays this psychopathic, you know, multi-character split personality disorder man.
James McAvoy.
Thank you. Yeah. She's the one who has to kind of try and speak with him and try and understand what he's going through, and like try and help him through that so that she can escape. It's a haunting tale, but everything she does is pretty incredible. I think you guys were talking about earlier how the Fjolnir would come back at some point, and potentially kill his children, or Fjolnir would somehow find a way to come back and enact vengeance upon Amleth and his family. And I always bring this up, or I think, you know, Vikings are very vengeful people, because if you look at Purple, we watched Vikings Valhalla, and
yeah, we did.
We did, unfortunately. But the king of Norway, the king of all Norway, brings everyone together from all of the north. He brings them from Iceland, he brings them from Denmark, from Sweden, and he brings them all together in this one place. And he goes, we are going to enact our vengeance upon England, because England had killed their settlement in England. But the war that he had waged was just because he wanted revenge. Like, it wasn't strategic. It wasn't I guess it was for power, but it was more so just because he's like, I want revenge on these people. So, which may or may not have been a smart or intelligent move by him. But we see that these people are extremely vengeful with their actions.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about you guys, but I love a good revenge story and stuff. I'm guessing this is one of the oldest. Is one of the oldest revenge stories in history. I mean,
the oldest trope of it, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember if there were any revenge stories in the Bible and stuff.
There were.
So obviously,
Cain and Abel.
There were. Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Okay.
Right at the beginning.
Yeah.
Well, Cain got slighted because he just gave, you know, some of his stuff, whereas Abel gave the best of his, you know, livestock as an offering to God. So, and of course, you know, Cain got triggered and killed his brother.
I think arguably Joseph too. Mm-hmm. You know, you could look at the coat and his brothers being sold into slavery. Maybe you could look at that as a, you know.
Well, I mean, he doesn't take revenge. That's the beautiful thing about Joseph's story was
the brothers take revenge.
Well, the brothers were simply jealous because Joseph was the most loved by Jacob or Israel, and this is coming from I was part of a Bible competition when I was in high school. It was called Bible Bowls. It was part of the Antiochian Orthodox Archdiocese and stuff. And so it was about Genesis, but we didn't have to memorize like the genealogies. That would have been a nightmare. But we covered Joseph and stuff. And the beautiful thing about Joseph's story was he forgave them, despite the fact Joseph went through the worst stuff. Like he nearly got executed because one of the overseer's wife, you know, started flirting with him, and he you know, didn't want to flirt back, and so she accused him of, you know, doing stuff to her, you know, stuff that's not too, you know, familiar with stuff going on now, I think, in my opinion.
Yeah. #me too.
But then he becomes Pharaoh's right hand man, then his
brothers have to kneel before him.
Yeah. And he ultimately says, "Hey, it's me. I'm here. I remember what you did, but you know what? I forgive you." And stuff. Well, I'm sure it was a little bit more emotional than that, but that was the whole thing I just loved about that story and stuff. Mm-hmm. And then they became, you know, the descendants, the sons, and their children, their children's children became, you know, the kingdom of Israel and stuff. So, but yeah, I was talking about Joseph. But yeah, I love a good revenge stories and stuff. And there was a point, you know, right when he's trying to, because I think he was trying to save his mother. Despite that, he was still trying to save his mother and his half brother. I forget the half brother's name. And they both come on, they attack him and they wound him and stuff. And he ends up being forced to kill both of them. And I thought they were going to spare the kid, but they did not spare the kid. And that reminded me, there was a point in Berserk where Guts had to go assassinate the king's brother, and the king's brother's son witnessed the thing, so he had to go and kill the king's son, and that was one of the most poignant moments in that series. That really, even I, like, it really affected him, and it really affected the audience too. Like, he had to kill a kid and stuff.
Well, here's a question. If the incest had worked, would she have then had him kill the child? Because that would have been the half brother would have been the inheritor, and she wants the power, so she would want her line to continue through whoever she's with next. Would be my thought.
Yeah. Are you guys talking about Jada and Will Smith, or are we still on the Bible?
No, we're on Amleth again.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I wasn't sure. Yeah.
I think
I mentioned I was talking
you're turning
about
your gene pool into a jacuzzi. So
sorry. I was like.
Well, I was talking about that he had to kill his half brother and stuff, and it just made me think of Berserk, where Guts had to kill a kid.
Oh, okay.
Because the kid witnessed him assassinating the king's brother and stuff. If you guys ever seen Berserk, I thought I got a lot of Berserk vibes from this movie as well, especially the brand. Seeing him brand himself and stuff made me think of, because let's just say Guts and his friends get branded for a reason and stuff. So it just really once again made me think of that. So lots of Nordic influences.
I've only read up through Volume 2, unfortunately, the big Berserk omnibus collections, but man, I think there are 9 of them, right, Nerdporeal? Does that sound right?
Yeah, so did you get through the entire first arc, the Black Swordsman arc?
Mm-hmm.
And then it goes back in time to when he was a kid, and that begins the golden age arc and stuff.
Yeah.
And that's Black Swordsman arc is my favorite arc.
I think it's everyone's. Yeah, it's pretty rad.
Yeah, so I mean, I want to do a future chat talking about the each of the arcs and stuff eventually. So, but that's what there was some of that. So like Berserk was a great revenge tale. I mean, something bad happens to Guts and his friends. They get sacrificed. Without spoiling too much, they get sacrificed, and he wants to go and kill every demon out there and stuff. And it takes a toll on him and the people he's around, and that's what makes revenge tales so compelling, is because truly, when you're in that much pain, the only thing you can do to alleviate that is to take some sort of action. And if there's then once the action is done, it doesn't bring anything back. It doesn't make it feel right. You just feel empty and stuff. At least that's my takeaway from most revenge stories and stuff. Unless they find something that allows them to stop and be happy, which is what we want in a character that's in pain. We want them to be happy or to find happiness in some way.
Oh, that's kind of the trope. I mean, there's always somebody in a revenge story saying, this isn't going to make you feel better. Mm-hmm. They do it anyway most of the time, and they don't feel better.
I'm just curious, you guys have any favorite revenge stories or movies or shows or anything?
Honestly, the Herman Melville's Moby Dick, reading it, I think it's such a beautiful book, but that story... in all of the loss, it's that focused determination of the sacrifice of everything, including your own life, to try and cause that harm. I think that to me is probably I would say one of the best revenge stories. I also think I'm just going to leave that there. I'm going to let other people talk, but I really like Melville's Moby Dick.
There's a reason why Khan quotes Moby Dick throughout the entire Wrath of Khan.
Yeah.
I totally agree, and I just downloaded the book. I want to read it and just and read just experience all the quotes that Khan does in its full context. I'll chase him round the moons of Nibia, around perdition's flames before I give him up. And then I think and of course the best one is, the hell's heart I stab at thee, for hate's sake I spit my last breath at thee.
God, I remember seeing that.
I love that movie.
I remember seeing that in the movie theater, and I hope they remaster it and re-release the Wrath of Khan. I would love to see that on the big screen again. I really would.
They have William Shatner's been doing Wrath of Khan. They would do a showing of Wrath of Khan, and then William Shatner would come out and talk to the audience about it and about his dogs and horse breeding that he does and stuff. And I went to it. I got a picture with Shatner, and it was pretty cool and stuff. And Shatner's even more hilarious in person. He was 89 years old when I saw him. He was just walking around the stage like he was a young man and stuff. Very energetic very energetic, and at least compared to Patrick Stewart. Patrick Stewart talks like this. I don't know why I'm acting. You know what I mean?
So, well, he's what, in his 90s now? Not Patrick Stewart, but he's
Shatner's
like
91. Shatner's 91 years old. He was born in 1931. So,
wow, dude, that's wild. That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
and he's still on Twitter, posting on Twitter.
Yes, he is. We want him for the Orville. We want him to be in the Orville and stuff. So, but that's wishful thinking. But yeah, what about you, Max? Do you have any favorite revenge tales or revenge stories or movies?
Ooh, I think probably the one I grew up on and the one that is one of my favorites is Gladiator. I don't know if we mentioned that while I was gone.
Nope.
But oh, okay, yeah. The line by Maximus, father to a murdered son, husband to a murdered wife. I will have my vengeance in this life or the next. It's just like he turns around and takes his helmet off, and that moment between Joaquin Phoenix and Maximus, where Joaquin realizes, I effed up. Like, I did not kill this guy, and he is like now on his way to kill me. It is just it's movie history, and that's, like I said, what I grew up on, and so that'd probably be my favorite revenge story.
Oh, I need to rewatch that.
Yeah.
People shouldn't. I remember that this is the one quote I remember from that movie. A people should know when they're being conquered or something.
Oh, yeah.
Like that.
Yeah.
That Roman
centurion.
attitude.
Yeah.
The thing about that movie is Gladiator is that the revenge is his way to get to Elysium, to see his family again. Like, he has to prove he's worthy in order to do that, to then see his murdered son and his wife. And that's how I interpreted it at the end, is that he is actually finally home because he was able to get that revenge, you know?
Yeah. And you see that beautiful imagery, and this is like early Ridley Scott, and he has his hand going through the wheat fields.
Yes.
And that is Elysium, and he's running towards his family, his boy is running towards him. Yeah, dude, it gives me chills. And
I got them right now, dude. I'm remembering that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so good. And that's like a 3-hour movie, right? I mean, it's pretty, or somewhere around there, 2.5.
Yeah.
It's pretty long.
It's up there. I think it's up there. Yeah.
But I can understand.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. I'll let you finish your thought. Sorry.
I was just gonna say I can definitely understand as far as like length of movies go, though, with people feeling, because the one complaint that I've heard, and especially like you said, Brahma, is the one complaint that I've mainly heard across the board is that it's 2:15, 2:17, something like that, 2 hours 17 minutes, and it feels like it. I must have just had a different experience, because it didn't feel like that for me. But then again, Batman felt like 4 hours.
Oh, Jesus,
So,
that was the last movie I saw too. I was like, my God, I got time to get a car wash, an oil change, a haircut, and I can watch this movie again. Yeah.
To be honest, it could have been the time I saw it too. I saw it like 1 o'clock in the afternoon, so right after lunch. Nap time on the weekend.
That's true. Yeah.
I mean, so that may have been what drew it out for me. I mean, I'll see it again, definitely. Like I said, I didn't dislike the movie. It just didn't do it for me the same way it's done it for quite a few of the rest of the panelists I've been on with over the past few days. So
absolutely.
There were 5 minutes in the movie, Brahma, and I think I know when it happened, where it seemed to have lost its direction for like 2 minutes. And then the plot just picked right up. And I felt that, and it took me out a little bit, but as soon as it went right back, and it was literally maybe 2 minutes of screen time, where I stepped out for a second, and then immediately the plot took off again. So maybe that's the moment that a lot of people are talking about. But I know what you mean. I just chose to I then jump back in, and I'm like, I can forgive this little hiccup here. And then, of course, the payoff with the volcano at the end, it was like, okay, all right,
I forget,
let's let Valkyrie do hers, and then I've got to do my final say, because I gotta get going.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yes, revenge. But if you're going to go for movies, I would say Viva Vendetta, Kill Bill, both volumes 1 and 2, and my personal favorite, The Crow. I love a good revenge but redemption story.
All right.
I should have gone first.
Oh no, yeah. To be fair, Purple had that Crow comic book you had the other day on your live stream. Purple.
Yeah.
That single issue goes for a lot of money on eBay right now. I think you had the collected graphic novel or something, but that issue with the face of the Crow, that like, you know, clown face and everything, it's pretty expensive. I think because of the fact that the author, his girlfriend died, and then afterwards, or his wife died or something, and he wrote it afterwards. But great call on that one. Yeah, that's so good, so dang good.
I was going to go with The Crow. The most recent one for me that I really loved is John Wick.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Right, they killed his freaking dog, and he goes off on a murder rampage that's now going into 4 movies. So
you just killed John effing Wick's effing dog. I love how they all freaked out. They all freaked out at just the idea of crossing him, and that just made it fun. I love seeing bad guys be bad, and then they get terrified of the main character. I just love that. I don't know what it is, but it's very how do you describe it? Very cathartic, I guess. Or
satisfying.
Satisfying. Satisfying. Wrong word. So
John Wick is extremely satisfying. So that's a good pick, because he doesn't hold back. I mean, for his dog, the whole movie is just him getting revenge on all these dudes. It's
another movie that was brutally violent. I mean, not in the same way, because you're not using blades until later, but the double tap to the head on every single person that he encounters.
Easily,
I mean, he's making sure they're dead. He's not just taking them out of the fight. He's putting an end to them. So but I got to get going, Nerdporeal.
Okay. Do you have something you wish to plug? Don't you have like a channel or something?
I do have a channel, and yes, I would love it if everybody would go subscribe and take a look at a couple of the videos. Thank you for having me on, guys. It's been great as always. Chat, you've been great. When this wraps up, I'll be on Thursday night Throwdown tonight on Comics Division as usual. So if you got something, or if you don't have something to go watch after this, then head on over. So, but thank you very much for having me on. Cheers, guys.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you for coming on.
Take care, brother.
Take care.
See ya.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night. Yeah, we only got like another 15 minutes. We're on the final things. So, I was going to ask about The Crow. Was The Crow originally was the source material the movie, or was it the comic? Was there a comic that was the original? Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay, nice. I'll have to check that out. Who's responsible for The Crow?
James O'Barr is the writer.
Okay.
And I think he drew it as well, if I remember correctly, at least the first Crow. There's been several iterations of the character, but if you want the one that's from the movie, that's the original.
Okay. So for my revenge stories, like I already mentioned, Berserk. Berserk is a great revenge story. It's a shame it won't, at least in my opinion, because of the fact that the author passed away. It's a shame that I don't think it'll ever be completed to its full, get to its final, full conclusion, its final fight with Griffith and stuff, and the God Hand. But Berserk is a great story. The Black Swordsman arc and the Golden Age arc are some of the best storytelling I've ever seen. After that, it gets a little bit too manga-ish, too much anime-ish to a degree. Less of them. It takes away. There's less of the Machiavellianism. It becomes more, action, demon slaying and stuff, which is awesome and stuff because I love guts. But they like the manga later. A lot of the later manga doesn't focus so much on guts because all of Guts' scenes are there's a lot of gravity and stuff. So they spend it on like all the kids. Like he's being followed by a bunch of kids in the later chapters, and they're providing all the comedy, the humor, the life, the I can't think of the word.
Levity.
Levity.
Boom.
Thanks, Salty.
Yeah, man. No worries.
But yeah, Berserk is a great one. Definitely would recommend the manga and of course the original 1997 anime. And if you can handle modern animation, maybe the Golden Age arc, but the 2016 series, stay away from it. It's crap. It looks terrible.
Are there other comic? I mean, no disrespect to manga, but does everybody have a favorite other American comic book revenge story or arc that really stands out? I mean, really stands out. That is a classic, and I would be really curious to hear everybody's takes on that. If I can ask that question.
I have a question: is Spawn a revenge tale? Because I know Wakizashi, Gray talks about it quite a bit.
I think you could definitely, I guess, call it that, because Al Simmons, who is Spawn, is killed by from what I remember from the origin story, killed by one of his friends in the military because he wants to be with his wife. So that could be relatively what that, because then, I guess Spawn's whole arc then after that isn't necessarily to get revenge on that guy, but to be a hellspawn for Satan or Malboja or whatever they call him. So it's definitely, he could be getting revenge on his friend, but I think his main purpose is to be this hellspawn for Satan. But I'm not as well versed with Spawn.
Would you class Frank Miller's Sin City as a revenge story?
That's what I was thinking. I honestly, that's, yeah.
Because I probably would, the lengths that he goes to track down the killer and to bring him to justice.
It's been a long time since I saw that movie. So I don't even remember it. I just remember there was like a detective, I think, in that movie. It was black. I remember it was black and white and stuff. Very noir, neo noir. Sorry, Max, go ahead.
Oh, you did great Willis film. Salty, were you asking if there's a comic book run or comic book that is just a classic in general, or were you
a classic revenge story, like a classic revenge arc? Sorry if I didn't. I don't make sense half the time, so
you're good. Maybe I was just like half listening or something. I don't know. So, yeah, that is a good question, man. I'd have to check. And I mean, I guess you could say it's not really revenge. The Return of Superman, like when Superman gets killed by Doomsday, and then he has this whole story where he comes back in the black suit, but he's not really revenging his own death. So,
what about Wolverine? I mean, could you say the Weapon X cycle, or is that, am I reading too much into that for Wolverine?
I think maybe later iterations you could probably, because he does go on a hunt at some point later to find the men who put him through that. But the actual Weapon X story, the 12 or 13 issues that were written by Barry Windsor Smith back in early 90s, that pretty much cuts off with him going into the wilderness, leaving the Weapon X program, and now having the adamantium in his bones and just kind of leaving. Ooh, yeah. Roman, that's a good one, boys. Garth Ennis book.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I hear the book is way better than the show. Like, the show just like...
Oh, the book is just... It's brutal, though. Like, it's pretty nasty.
I suppose you could class the Punisher's pretty much entire run.
That was going to be my next one.
Yeah.
So, Frank Castle. Yeah.
I loved John Bernthal as Frank Castle. I thought he was awesome, especially in Daredevil season 2. And I like both seasons of the Punisher. I know some people are critical of the second one, but I love both seasons of the Punisher.
Yeah, I mean, Frank Castle's funny because he doesn't just say, I'm just going to go after the criminal organization that killed my family and then I'm done. He forever, it's just like, any bad guy? Oh, anyone that literally is just a bad person? Cool, yeah, that's my vengeance now, which is pretty great. It's a funny and just out there character arc. So, which, by the way, if, I was just I'm thinking about doing a review, but if anyone's trying to read any modern Punisher comics, like this one, issue number 2, don't. This thing is literal toilet paper. It's literally the worst Punisher book I've ever read.
Wow.
And I wish I could be. I wish I were over exaggerating. It will be tissue paper later. Once I finish my review.
You should just clip this little bit and just use that in the video. Worst Punisher story ever.
It's bad. I didn't mean to derail us, but like it's bad. Yeah.
Wow.
And Unbearable 73 has become a member of the Nerdporeal.
Wow.
Nerdporeal. I'll call it Nerdporeal Continuum. The Nerdporeal Continuum. Welcome. Thank you.
You'll like having you will like having Matt to call you out when you get things wrong, but also to be a resource when you need to know and you don't know at all. So
well, he's been on all of my Lord of the Rings streams for that very reason. But yeah, for me, like I said, Berserk was one. Another one I really like, which was the precursor to Kill Bill, was a Japanese movie in the 70s called Lady Snowblood. It was 2 films. And like Tarantino took a lot of the shots from Kill Bill from Lady Snowblood. But Lady Snowblood is basically, imagine if Luke Skywalker was trained to be an assassin instead of a Jedi. Same type of thing. You get to see the training involved. She had like a Master Yoda type of mentor. And she went, and the first movie was split into episodes where she went after 5 different people. And it was I love the storytelling. It was very, it reminded me of some anime shows I've seen and stuff. It has that very, like, you kind of like, you get to know her targets and stuff, and you're kind of wondering, like, are you, like, it makes you wonder, do you want to side with her, or you feel more connected to the intended victim and stuff. And it was just her story was very compelling, and they made a sequel to it. And she's a killer. Like she's really good with the blade. Just take a bunch of people out. It was pretty cool and stuff. So Lady Snowblood's a great thing. Of course, Kill Bill. I love Kill Bill. I'm trying to think what else is another good revenge story. V for Vendetta, Boys. I can't think of anything. My mind's a blank right now. So.
You said Cape Fear, Purple?
Cape Fear. Both versions, really good films.
Memento.
That's a revenge story. I thought that was more like a thriller. Well, I mean, De Niro goes after the guy.
Yeah, and in the original, oh my God, I blanked on his name. Who was even more terrifying in a 60s kind of a way.
Robert Mitchum?
Thank you. Yeah. But that movie scared the hell out of me. I remember going to see that one with De Niro in it, and De Niro was absolutely terrifying in that movie. Absolutely terrifying.
Now, the shot of him laughing in the theater, that's from Cape Fear, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. All right. I have to see Cape Fear now. The only version of Cape Fear I saw was the Simpsons version, where Sideshow Bob goes after the Simpsons, and he corners Bart on the boat. He has like a machete, and Bart asks him to sing, what was it, the HMS? He asked him to sing like HMS Pinafore or something like that, and he starts singing. Kelsey Grammer's singing, and it gives them enough time for the police to take him away and stuff. So I love, back in the day, So back in the day, Sideshow Bob episodes of The Simpsons were the best and stuff. But yeah, okay, yeah, I have to watch Cape Fear. I have heard nothing but good things about Cape Fear and stuff. Especially, I know the remake with De Niro, of course, was Scorsese. So knowing Scorsese, it's probably gonna be super violent. It's probably gonna be super violent, super visceral, because that's what Scorsese likes to do and stuff. But that's my take on revenge stories. So we're at final thoughts now. Any final thoughts on the Northman? Start with you, Max.
I would just say for a lot of people, it's not going to hit home, as we saw earlier. Like 66% of people from the audience score like this. I think it's going to be hit or miss. I think some people are going to experience this, and I mean experience it. They won't. Some people will watch it, and some people will experience it. For me, this was an absolute experience. It got down to the heart of this legacy, this lineage, this historical people that had such strong belief systems, and such brutal ones too, violent and very visceral. So I was in from the moment it started to the moment it ended. I was in it, and I loved every second of it. I think on my channel I gave it a 9.5 out of 10, and really just due to some pacing issues. But I think that's the main concern with a lot of people, is that it's either too long or it holds on scenes for too long. But I love that aspect of it. I think it does a good job of the pacing. But there are scenes that you can always cut down and trim and edit, and just to keep the momentum. So overall, though, if you really want to see a spectacle of Viking heritage, you got to see this film. If nothing else, just for that, because I think it does a very, very good job of source material.
About you, Purple?
Yes, I would absolutely agree. I think if you haven't seen this film and you're on the fence about whether to see it, I would say go see it. It definitely needs to be experienced on the big screen. With the powerful drum beats from the score that almost kind of beat you over the head continuously throughout the film. There's this wild beat going on, and I think Max, you said that you're using it as music to work out to, and Max is going to be like Skarsgård by the time he's finished.
Almost there.
I heard
I gotta hit that rower more.
I heard he had to eat like every couple hours to get that bulk, to get that bulk that he had in the movie and stuff.
To be that tall and to be that lean, but also have that size, it's extremely tough for a frame like that. You know what I mean? Because you either tend to lean out and be super skinny, and so you can't put a lot of muscle on some like a taller frame, or your metabolism is a little bit slower, and so then you tend to be a lot thicker and taller. So the fact that he was able to do that is pretty incredible. And a lot of meals a day will do that for you.
But I definitely think if you're a previous fan of the director, if you know his work, I think you'll love it. But if this is your first experience of Robert Eggers, I think a lot of people might be a little bit confused, especially with the very trippy scenes that he uses. And this is something that is kind of woven throughout all of his films. But stick with it. Just go with it. Enjoy a fantastic cast. A rather simple story, but beautiful in its simplicity.
How you, Corey?
It took a couple minutes, but I realized I was actually watching, I would say, a proto-pagan Shakespearean movie. And once I flipped that switch in my brain, it changed everything. And the pacing and then the allowing to sit there, like Max and Purple have talked about, was like being in an audience of watching Shakespeare being performed, especially in the round, which I think is still the best way to see Shakespeare. But I hadn't seen live Shakespeare in the round by really quality, committed people in about 20 years. And it was at that point when I sat down, and then I marveled at the pagan iconography, the performances, the music drove this movie, and Eggers' incredible just spanning horizons in the volcano, in the ocean. It was literally like having the best of everything from Shakespeare coupled with really just fantastic cinematography and movie music. So that's why I love this movie so much. I couldn't have asked for a better pagan Norse saga meets Shakespeare movie. I just wish they would have marketed it that way. And I think people would have not had the audience reaction that they did,
Yeah.
Yes, I'd agree with that. And just as a kind of funny aside, I was reading up on, when they wrapped filming, and the actors, they each got some pretty weird gifts when filming finished. So Nicole Kidman got a sword, Willem Dafoe got a long ship, an actual long ship. Bjork received 3 horses, and Skarsgård got to keep the bloodstained thong that he wore for a week when shooting.
What?
Really?
That is
I'd rather take the
incredible.
long ship. Why does Willem Dafoe get a long ship? What the hell?
Because he's Willem Dafoe. He's
Exactly.
awesome and everything.
Okay, fair. Fair, right?
I'd have asked for the head, that would be
Ooh,
really meta. He could take
yeah.
that home with him.
I just walked down Hollywood Boulevard. Yeah, I'm Willem Dafoe, and yeah, this is my desiccated head. You want to slice and hallucinate? That would be awesome.
Yeah, at least Viggo Mortensen got to keep his sword. I mean, at least give the man his sword.
Oh, he did?
Yeah.
He kept Narsil?
He kept, I believe, Narsil, but then he also bought a couple of horses because he gave one of the horses to Liv Tyler, I want to say.
Oh,
One of the women. But yeah, he bought like a lot of those horses. He bought his own horse that he rode throughout the movie. Yeah, he was buying stuff left and right. He wanted all
Wow, that's awesome.
Actors seem to do that a lot, because if I remember correctly, Johnny Depp bought the horse from Sleepy Hollow because he got so attached to it.
Yeah. I think I think Nick Cage bought the castle they shot a movie in. Some people like horses, some people like castles.
Nick Cage hasn't much money to buy a castle.
He used to.
He used to, yeah.
Used to.
He also bought, I want to say it was Action Comics #1, very first Superman comic ever. That was millions and millions of, I think like $5 million or something. And I mean,
crap.
Yeah, he does some wild stuff with his money.
So he so he was a fan of Superman too. So he didn't just get the role and stuff, or get the role and then they canceled it. But he was a big fan. So I didn't know that.
I don't know how much of a fan he was of Superman, or whether it was just kind of like, because there are people who are just collectors and they just want to collect something of that high of value. There are art collectors who maybe not necessarily like the artwork, but they know it's a high class valued item, so they buy it. That might have been what he was doing, but not sure.
All right. Well, for my take, I thought the movie, like I said in my review, I thought the movie was great. I was totally immersed in it. Every aspect of it. The cinematography was beautiful. There was no shaky cam or lens flares, which is a vast improvement. Like some of the shots, there were some shots that made me think of Kubrick. I'm sure you guys all seen Kubrick films, especially where they stare at the camera and then they look like this. There's Skarsgård had like couple of moments where he looked at the camera just like that, very menacing and stuff. I guess you could say the horror element of it. And of course, I showed Clockwork Orange. I showed the Clockwork Orange version of it, but there was there's Jack Nicholson version of it. There was what's his name, Gomer Pyle from Full Metal Jacket. There was his version of the look.
Oh,
and
I
even
forget
Nicole
his name.
Kidman. Nicole Kidman in Eyes Wide Shut had her version of it, but it wasn't really. It was just her smiling. She was just like, just smiling and stuff. But still, but yeah, there was a lot of Kubrick, and I don't know if you remember, like when they go into the where Skarsgård was, or where Amleth was being kept, after he gets captured and stuff. He had the bird flapping towards the screen, kind of like in Hitchcock and stuff. So that's one thing I kind of noticed too, because you see the birds, like the bird flies towards the camera and hits Tippi Hedren in the face and stuff. So yeah, I had that same. I couldn't find the clip of it, but it was the same idea and stuff. So there was that element there too. But the way the boats looked, the way the sets looked, the lighting and everything, I felt like I was immersed. Like I felt like I was in an epic video game and stuff, waiting for awesome stuff to happen, and the awesome stuff did happen. It was tragic, especially with young Amleth in the beginning of the movie, having to run in the woods away from his uncle and stuff, and and him seeing his mother being dragged off. That's the reason why I thought she was lying, was because like she said, oh, I was laughing when they were carrying her off and stuff, because it plainly showed she was screaming. It looked like she was struggling and screaming and stuff. So, and she said, oh no, I was just laughing at the whole thing. This whole thing was my idea and stuff. So so that's kind of why I was curious if she lied and stuff. But
I've known women. I've known women like that. So this was all incredibly very real world to me. I'll just say that.
Okay. And then just seeing the Vikings, seeing the Vikings attack, like they throw a spear at him and he catches the spear and throws it right back at them. Made me think of Fist of the North Star. That's another anime and stuff. Made me think of that a little bit. And then they climb. Then they just go up there. They climb, they just climb, and then they just go in. They kill everyone, or they kill all the men, I think, and then they take the women and they throw all the kids in the house, the burning house. It was really interesting to see, seeing it's another day in the life of a berserker warrior. Like they said, it was like a water cooler talk, while in the background they're like rounding up kids, and like kids are trying to run away, and the moms are like screaming and stuff. And once again, it made me think of moments in like World War II Holocaust movies where the Nazis are taking kids away from their parents and stuff, and it's messed up. It's just totally effed up and stuff. But that's what the Vikings did and stuff. So I mean, to me, every civilization commits its share of atrocities and stuff. Some more than others, but all of us are capable of the same stuff, the same wickedness, same evil and stuff. So Vikings were no different from any other, civilization. They were just better at it. They were just better at conquering and stuff. They were like the Romans. They were like the Romans in their day and stuff. But they were really good at pillaging.
Really glad that Eggers decided not to kind of sugarcoat it and give us a sanitized version.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree. And then, of course, then him in the farmstead, exacting his revenge and all that mysticism. It's just like, wow, this is such a rich, there's such a richness to this movie and stuff. And seeing it just gave it that weight, that gravitas. Whenever you bring like gods or higher beings into the picture and stuff, it just feels the world just feels there's more of a gravitas to it, at least to me, when it's stuff like I felt that with Lord of the Rings. I felt that with other fantasy, I mean, this is not technically not fantasy, but with other fantasy stuff, but fantasy is based off of a lot of Norse stuff and whatnot. So but yeah, this was every aspect of it was immersive. It was an experience. And it was like watching a play. It was almost like watching a play on the screen and stuff. Only difference was the lighting and the hypnotic effect made me want to fall asleep. Like the Lighthouse had the same effect on me too when I tried to watch it on Amazon and stuff. I was watching it late at night, had the lights off, and I fell asleep because of the same. It had the same type of atmosphere, the same type of sound, and the black and white element of it. So. But I loved the Northman, and I want to resume The Lighthouse and watch The Witch, and I want to follow Robert Eggers. He's now one of my new favorite directors that I want to follow and stuff on the level of Tarantino and Christopher Nolan and stuff, because I mean there's really no star power anymore. The star power is completely gone. So you don't go see a movie because of a star. You go see a movie because of a director or because of the genre it's in or what it's about now. So, but yeah, I would definitely recommend you go see The Northman, support it. I want to see more movies like this. They're to me are authentic.
Yeah, he's definitely said in interviews that he wants to go back to his horror roots and do something more artsy and art house like he's done with The Witch and The Lighthouse before, which makes sense. That's his forte, and so it looks like we'll probably get that from him next. But
yes, he's been tied to a remake of Nosferatu, so
yes,
fingers crossed.
Right. I've not seen the original Nosferatu, to be honest.
It's creepy.
Is that based off of Dracula, or is it like a different type of vampire story?
It probably has the same origin. There's a lot of different Eastern European and even Asian myths that incorporate that same type of an archetype. So it's entirely possible. It's just based on a different interpretation versus Bram Stoker's Dracula. You know.
Well, that's it. That was my take and stuff. So plug channels. Corey, you have a channel, don't you? Don't you have a channel? I swear you have a channel.
I do. Thank you for asking. Hi, my name is Corey. I'm an alcoholic. Oh, wrong meeting. My name is
Nerdporeal's Anonymous.
Yeah, Nerdporeal's Anonymous. I'm Salty Texas C. This is the first time I've ever shown my face on YouTube. And other than hanging out with that 70s rock fan. So I wanted to do it here because you used to give me a lot of grief, brother, and I figured I'd listen. So here I am. I have a channel. I do a great Tuesday show with two of the people, Maxfield Von Priestley, who just hit 1,000 and is now monetized. And I also am lucky enough to I'm doing the Max thing. That lady, the woman over on the bottom left of the screen. I am very fortunate and blessed to have not only Max, but Purple Valkyrie as well. She's on the Tuesday show. She also does a show with me called Phenomenal, where we talk about the paranormal. And now we're talking about a third show because, boy, we just don't have enough to do. So thank you for having me on Nerdporeal. It's always a wonderful treat. So thank you, brother.
No problem. Purple, you have a channel too, don't you? I swear you do.
I do. Thank you so much. First of all, let me say thank you for having us today. This was a fantastic idea, and I think we really kind of covered some angles that haven't been talked about on previous shows. So thank you for that. And thank you to the chat as well. You guys are awesome. You can find me on Rise and Shine with Purple Valkyrie. I will be back tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. Central, and I will be talking about one of my favourite authors of all time. We've just had his birthday today, the late, great Terry Pratchett. So I'm going to be reminiscing about him and trying to drum up some love for Discworld.
Max, you have a channel, right? Don't you? You just got monetized. So you're gonna be making be making the big bucks.
I don't have a channel. I just hang out with these guys on Tuesday night. So, and I come on your channel every now and then, Nerdporeal. So, but no, if you guys want, you can find me at this name right here, Maxfield Von Priestley or MVP. Covering a lot of comics, pop culture. Recently, it's been a lot of Vikings, Northman stuff, of course. But yeah, it's been a lot of fun, and I just want to say thank you so much for not only having me, but also for the support that I've gotten from everyone here and everyone, all the fans that have made this monetization thing happen. It's been great, and the support has been unreal. So looking forward to doing a monetization Monday stream on what would that be?
Monday.
I think like May 1st or 2nd. Thank you. Monday, guys. You heard it here first. And I want to say it's like the 1st or 2nd. I got to check. But we may see some silkies on that stream, on the monetization stream.
Don't be a tease. Don't break my heart. And I want you. You better eat some crayons too, buddy. Come on.
That's true, actually. I need to go out and get some crayons, but I got my silkies right here. And the fans asked, now they shall receive, and whether they like it or not. So that'll be fun Monday night.
All right,
awesome.
Well, thank you guys for all joining. And Brahma Bull, if you're out there, I'm sure you are. Thank you too. This was a great stream. I'm glad we were able to keep it to 2 hours. I managed to refine everything. We didn't go through every nook and cranny of the movie like I generally do. So I'm getting better at streaming and stuff, leading streams and stuff. So, but for me, recently, I did a Northman review. If you want to check that out, it's a very quick, non-spoiler review and stuff.
That was a good one.
Thanks. Thank you. And of course, my last video project, my major video project I did was some movie no one's heard of about Clint Eastwood. He's a cop in San Francisco. He carries this big .44 Magnum, the most powerful handgun in the world, and he dares criminals to pick up their guns. He's like, maybe I'm out of bullets, maybe I'm not. Do you feel lucky, huh, punk? So I did a review on Dirty Harry and stuff. It was a movie I watched a ton when I was a kid, especially when I was in 6th grade. I was sick at home a lot, so I went through my folks' VHS collection, and that's how I found it. So I got that one done. Next video project is going to be a Super Mario 64 retrospective. So I'm going back from movies. I'm shifting from video game retrospective to movie review to layman TV show guides and stuff to back to video game retrospective. So now I'm doing Mario 64 is my next major project and stuff. Unless there's another movie that comes out, then I'll do a really quick review on. So are there any good movies coming out pretty soon?
Doctor Strange is coming out soon. Multiverse of Madness.
He said good movies.
Yeah. Good movies.
It's the best of Phase 4, I think.
Sam Raimi. You got Sam Raimi. That's
Sam Raimi. That's true. Mm-hmm. That's true.
But streams coming up. I know Sunday, if my friend can make it, I'm going to do another Nerdporeal episode where we're going to talk. Me and him are going to be talking the top 5 Star Trek Deep Space Nine episodes featuring Garrick, played by Andrew Robinson, who also was the villain in Dirty Harry. Scorpio.
You're a nerd. You're a total nerd, dude. You're not you are serious. You are the Nerdporeal. You've earned that title, brother.
I don't know any Nerdporeal. I have my own family, Senator. Okay, that was terrible. But yeah, so Nerdporeal will be Sunday if my friend can make, if I can get a hold of my friend. And then Monday, and I do this every Monday, I'm going to be covering the newest episodes of Better Call Saul. And this season has been phenomenal. We lost a character last episode, and me doing the stream I felt was very important. It was kind of I'm doing my streams based on how Gary from Nerdrotic did his streams for Game of Thrones right after the episode and stuff, which is basically how I found him and got subscribed. So, something I'm kind of following, kind of doing what he did before and stuff. So, but yeah, Better Call Saul is such a great show. If you ever want some really good character-driven stories with really good continuity and really tight writing and stuff, like they care about the writers actually care about what they're doing and stuff, and it connects almost seamlessly with Breaking Bad. These two shows are well worth your time in my opinion. So yeah, Better Call Saul, we'll be doing that. And after that, who knows? Next Thursday, maybe I'll do another movie. I'm going to probably do another movie chat. I'm trying to, do stuff on Thursdays and stuff. And eventually Return of the King one of these days. Maybe next Saturday. So, not this Saturday, but the following Saturday. So, stay tuned for that. So, other than that,
I need to say one thing. I just need to say congratulations to Purple, and that's all I'm going to say.
Thank you.
2000.
Did we make it? Did we make it?
Yes, it's just tipped over.
Excellent.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Is that how you do it?
Thank you, my loves. Thank you.
Oh, I've never done that before. Look at that. Yeah. Okay.
You can do that now. Yeah. Look at that. Yeah. You're a natural. Now we just need a Frost.
No, we don't. Nobody needs a Frost. No. G4 especially didn't need a Frost, dude. I mean, yeah. Yeah.
They're doing terrible now, right?
Yes.
Well, congrats, Purple. That's great. Well, now we need to schedule a stream for her to doing a 2000 or 2K. Yeah.
Yes. What I'm thinking of doing is now I can combine it with the 2-year anniversary, which is on the 9th.
Yeah.
So 2 years, 2K. Yeah.
2 years. Wow, that's great.
I'm glad.
I'm glad. I mean, I'm glad. Like I'm glad we're all doing pretty good and stuff. I love the support. I love the fellowship. I love the community. I love the fellowship. I have not had a single negative experience with anybody and stuff. And I'm just thankful for you guys. You guys are amazing and stuff. And I want to continue to work with you guys further and stuff. Collaborate, do stuff. I love doing this. This is one of the best things ever.
Absolutely.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Love it. Yeah.
Hey, somebody's here.
Those of you who have subscribed to Flaccid Phoenix, I think he was around 169. Let's get him down to about 120 so that he stops mouthing off to everybody out there about Mel Gibson. Just gonna say.
Wait, because he loves Braveheart, right?
Among other horrifying things, yes. But, unsubscribe to Flaccid Phoenix.
All right, but other than that, everybody, this was a great stream. Thank you all for coming. Thank you, chat. Once again, everybody, just may the wings of Nerdporeals carry you to the next great chat. And of course, once again, follow Purple, follow Max, and follow Salty, and heck, if he cares, Brahma Bull too. Follow all these guys. They're all great YouTubers. They all provide very good content, and there's stuff that I can learn from each and every one of them. So, other than that, everybody, take care. Have a good night.
Good night.
See ya.